Dear students, in this video I am going to explain few basic concepts which belong to first chapter, some basic concepts of chemistry. These concepts are very familiar to you all because you studied all these concepts in your previous classes, 8th or 9th or even 10th. So you are welcome to watch this video. Let me start with first concept, that is matter. Okay, the word matter is known to you people. If you heard the word matter, I think so many questions arise in your mind regarding matter. First question is, what is a matter? Second question is, what are the constituent particles of a matter? What are matters made of? What are the particles present in a matter? Next question is, what are the physical states of matter? Next question is, how are the constituent particles arranged in three different states of matter? After this, how are matters classified? Classification of matters. What are the different types of matter? Next one is, what are the properties of matter? Physical as well as chemical properties of matter and their measurement. Okay, my job is to answer all these questions. Okay, first of all, my job is to answer first question, what is a matter? Students, in our daily life, we come across so many objects, innumerable objects, living as well as non-living objects, plants, animals, birds, human beings, say water, soil, rocks, say buildings, bridges, TV, that monitor, pen, pencil, duster, mobile phone, so many things are there. Innumerable examples are there. All these objects have got certain mass and they occupy some space. Therefore, such objects are called matter. Definition of matter becomes very easy. What is a matter now? Anything. Matter may be anything. Anything which has mass and occupies some space. Okay, let me consider this chalk piece. You say, this chalk piece has got its own mass and it occupies some space. ಈ ಚಾಕ್ ಪೀಸ್ಗೆ ತನ್ನದೇ ಆದ ಮಾಸ್ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಥಳವನ್ನು ಆಕ್ರಮಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. Right? Hence it is called a matter. Matter, what's a matter now? Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. Okay, now our job is to know the constituent particles of a matter. What are the particles present in matter? Matter mainly consists of three different types of particles, namely atoms or molecules or ions. So what are the constituent particles of a matter? Maybe atoms, maybe molecules, maybe ions. Some matter consists of atoms and some matters consists of molecules and some matters consists of ions. Atoms, molecules and ions are familiar to you. What is an atom? It is the smallest unit of a matter, and we know, though it is very small, still atom has got a complex structure. At the center of the atom, a nucleus is there. That nucleus contains protons and neutrons. Protons are positively charged, neutrons are chargeless, and electrons are found around the nucleus in various orbitals. And what are molecules? One, two or more atoms of same or different elements combined together, so molecules will be formed. Molecules are formed by the combination of two or more atoms of same or different elements. For example, H2O, it's a molecule of water. You see here, this molecule is made of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. CO2, it's a molecule of carbon dioxide. You see here, this molecule is formed by the combination of one atom of carbon and two atoms of oxygen. Then think of ions. There are two types of ions, positive ions and negative ions. How are they formed? Let me clarify this point. Okay, let me consider an atom of sodium. Sodium atom gets converted into sodium ion by losing one electron. In the same manner, magnesium gets converted into magnesium ion with loss of two electrons. Say aluminium atom gets converted into aluminium ion by losing three electrons. See here, these are positive ions because they all carry positive charge. Positive ions are also called cations. Why are they so called? Positive ions are also called cations. Why are they so called? Let me clarify this one. Actually, in an electric field, positive ions move towards negative electrode. Negative electrode is called cathode. Since these ions get attracted by the cathode, these ions are also called cations. Let me say something about anions. How are they formed? When an atom gains actually more electronegative elements gain one or more electrons. Here chlorine atom is a chlorine atom, by gaining one electron gets converted into chloride ion. Fluorine atom by gaining one electron gets converted into fluoride ion. Oxygen atom by receiving two electrons gets converted into O2 minus oxide ion. Nitrogen by receiving three electrons gets converted into N3 minus nitride ion. You see here, all these ions carry one or more negative charges. And these negative ions are also called anions, because in an electric field these ions move towards positive electrode called anode. Since these ions get attracted by the anode in an electric field, negative ions are also called anions. Okay, don't worry. All these things will be discussed in the later part of this chapter and even second unit also. Okay, now what's our job? Our job is to know about the constituent particles of a matter. It's very clear. Constituent particles of a matter may be atoms, or may be molecules, or may be ions. Okay, let us think of states of matter. Matter mainly exists in three different physical states. What are the different physical states of matter? One is solid, another one is liquid state, third one is gaseous state. Matters exist in three different physical states: solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. One more state is there, plasma state. We give you a detailed account of all these regarding solids, liquids, gases and their different physical states. One more unit is the states of matter. In that chapter, you will have a detailed account of all these. Anyhow, here let me say few words regarding the arrangement of constituent particles in three different states of matter. How are particles arranged in solids, liquids and gases? Let me clarify one by one. Okay, see here, okay, solids. In solids, constituent particles are arranged in an orderly manner. Use here like this, in an orderly manner, orderly fashion. You see the arrangement of constituent particles in a solid. In solids, particles are arranged in an orderly manner, and these particles are held very close to each other, quite close to each other. Therefore, particles in solid do not have freedom of movement. They can't move at all, but they can vibrate at their mean position. Just vibrate ಆಗಬಹುದು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಇವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. That is the reason why solids have got definite shape as well as definite value. Clear? Let me think of liquids. You see here, in liquids, particles are somewhat close to each other, not as much close as in solids, somewhat close to each other. You see here like this, somewhat. And in liquids, particles have got little freedom to move here and there in all possible directions. Therefore, it's very clear, in liquids, particles are somewhat close to each other, and they have got little freedom to move around. That is the reason why liquids do not have definite shape, but they have definite volume. Then what is the shape of the liquid? Liquid takes up the shape of the container in which it is stored. ಯಾವ ಕಂಟೈನರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡನ್ನು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಕಂಟೈನರ್ನ ಶೇಪನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫೈ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. Okay, let me take water. So in this vessel, I have taken water. This is a round bottom flask. Say its volume is 500 cubic centimeter. Volume of this flask is 500 cubic centimeter, and it is filled with water now. It is filled with water. Okay, what is the volume of water? 500 cubic centimeter. What's the shape of water? It gets the shape of, it takes up the shape of this vessel. Let me do one thing. Let me transfer the same into another vessel of cubic shape. Okay, I have now, what is done here? I have transferred the entire water into this vessel. Volume does not change. Volume remains same. Here too, volume of water is 500 cubic centimeter only, but shape is changed. In this vessel, water gets the shape of this vessel. Therefore, it is very clear that liquids do not have definite shape, but they have definite volume. Okay, let me discuss the arrangement of particles in gases. Okay, in gases, particles are far apart as compared to liquids and solids. Hence, particles have got much freedom to move in all possible directions. That is the reason why gases do not have definite shape as well as definite volume. Then what is the shape of the gas? A gas takes up the shape of the vessel in which it is taken. Then what is the volume of the gas? Since gas occupies the entire volume available in the container, volume of the gas is equal to the volume of the container. Let me clarify this. Okay, let me take a gas in this closed container. Say its volume is 500 cubic centimeter. Say I have taken a gas in this container. This container is filled with a gas. So what's the volume of the gas? 500 cubic centimeter. What's the shape of the gas? Gas takes up the shape of this vessel. Let me do one thing. Let me transfer the same gas into a container of this shape, cubic shaped container. Say its volume is 1000 cubic centimeter. Okay, what is done here? This gas is carefully transferred into this vessel. We know the nature of gas. Gas occupies the entire volume available in this vessel. Therefore, volume of the gas becomes 1000 cubic centimeter. Initially, in this container, its volume was 500 cubic centimeter. Now it becomes 1000 cubic centimeter. From this, it is very clear that gases do not have definite volume. So what's the volume of the gas? Volume of the gas is equal to the volume of the container in which it is placed. Shape is also changed. In this vessel, what was the shape of the gas? So in this vessel, this was the shape of the gas. Now it is taken in this. So now gas takes up the shape of this. So from this, it's very clear that gases do not have definite shape as well as definite volume. See here, so far we went through three different physical states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. These three states of matter are interconvertible. That means we can convert a solid into a liquid, liquid into a gas or vapors. In the reverse process, vapors can be converted into liquid, liquid can be converted into solid just by changing the conditions of temperature and pressure. See here, if a solid is heated, it melts and goes to liquid state. If this liquid is further heated, it gets converted into its vapors, gaseous state. You just think of the reverse process. If vapors are cooled, upon cooling, vapors get converted into liquid. Liquid upon cooling undergoes solidification to give solid. Therefore, it is very clear three physical states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gaseous state, they are interconvertible. Okay, now let me go through the classification of matter. You see here, matters are broadly classified into two types: pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances are further classified into elements and compounds. Mixtures are further classified into homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Let me clarify all these. What is a pure substance? A pure substance is one which contains only one kind of particles. Point is to be noted. What are pure substances? Pure substances are those matters which contain only one kind of particles. Particles may be atoms, may be molecules, or may be ions, formula units. For example, use here, sodium is a pure substance because it is made up of only one kind of particle, sodium atoms. Or we can take glucose is a pure substance because it is made up of only one type of particle, say glucose molecules. Table sugar is a pure substance because it is made up of only sucrose molecules. Water consists of only water molecules. Okay, it's very clear. Pure substances are those substances which contain only one kind of particle. Then what are mixtures? And one more thing should be known to you people. A pure substance always contains constant particles in a fixed proportion. Composition of the components will be constant. in pure substances. Then what is a mixture? A mixture is a matter consists of two or more pure substances. So, mixture usually contains two or more pure substances. Here in mixture, pure substances may be present in any ratio. For example, you can prepare a mixture of sugar and tea powder by taking 100 gram of sugar, say 50 gram of tea powder. Or you can make the mixture of sugar and tea powder by taking say 200 gram of sugar and say 100 gram of tea powder. Therefore, in mixtures, components may be present in any ratio. Okay, let me go through the elements and compounds. Pure substances are those substances which contain only one kind of particles. Pure substances are further classified into two types, elements and compounds. Then what are elements? What are elements? Elements are those pure substances which contain only one type of atoms or molecules containing only one kind of atoms. See here, what are elements? Elements are pure substances which contain only one kind of atoms or molecules containing only one kind of atoms. It's very clear that our elements may contain atoms or molecules, but molecules which are present in the element should contain only one kind of atoms. See here, copper contains only copper atoms, therefore it is an element. Pure gold consists of gold atoms. Silver consists of silver atoms. While the oxygen element, you see here, oxygen element, oxygen is a gas, it exists as O2. Therefore, our oxygen contains O2 molecules. But this O2 molecule is in turn made up of two oxygen atoms, like atoms are here. Therefore, O2 is called the molecule of the element oxygen. Just think of hydrogen. Hydrogen is a gas. It exists as H2. Therefore, hydrogen contains H2 molecule. Therefore, H2 is called the molecule of hydrogen element. But it contains like atoms, two hydrogen atoms. And elements are homogeneous in nature. In all elements, composition of the constituent particles will be fixed, constant. Okay, now let me clarify compounds. What are compounds? What are compounds? You see, compounds are again pure substances. But our compounds contain only molecules or even formula units. Which type of molecules are present in compounds? Compounds contain molecules formed by the combination of two or more atoms of different elements. And in all compounds, elements are combined in a fixed proportion by mass. See here, they are homogeneous in nature. Compounds are homogeneous in nature. Compounds contain only one kind of particles, means only one type of molecules or only one type of formula units. The molecules which are present in compound contains two or more atoms of different elements. And in compounds, elements are combined in a fixed proportion by mass. Let me clarify this one. You see here, carbon dioxide, CO2. It's a molecule of carbon dioxide. This molecule is formed by the combination of two elements. One is carbon, another is oxygen. This molecule contains one atom of carbon and two atoms of oxygen. H2O, water. H2O is the molecule of water. It is formed by the combination of totally three atoms. Two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. And you see here, and these atoms are always in a fixed proportion by mass. Whatever may be the source of water, you can collect water from sea, you can collect water from well, you can collect water from any other sources. Say you can collect rainwater, whatever may be the source of water. Water na ಮೂಲ ಯಾವುದೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. But in water, hydrogen and oxygen are combined in a fixed proportion by mass. You see here, atomic mass of hydrogen is 1. There are two hydrogen atoms, 2. Oxygen atomic mass 16. They are in the ratio. You see in water, hydrogen and oxygen are in the ratio 2:16. Upon simplification, 1:8. You see here, this ratio is fixed one. Whatever may be the source of water. I think it's clear. So, okay. You see the difference between elements and compounds. Elements are pure substances which contain only one kind of atoms or molecules, but these molecules should be made up of like atoms, only one kind of atoms. Compounds contain only one kind of molecules, but these molecules are formed by the two or more atoms of different elements. Okay. Now let me go through the different types of mixtures. Mixtures, we know, mixture is a substance or it's a matter consists of two or more pure substances or components. They may be present in any ratio. They are further classified into homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture. Another one is heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. Okay. So what is meant by homogeneous mixture? So it's a mixture in which components are not completely mixed up. Components are completely mixed up. Homogeneous, you see here, in homogeneous mixture, components are completely mixed up, thoroughly mixed up. Components are uniformly distributed, evenly distributed throughout the bulk of the mixture. Therefore, homogeneous mixtures have got uniform composition throughout. See here, in homogeneous mixture, it may contain any number of components, but in homogeneous mixtures, components are completely mixed up. Particles of components are uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of the mixture. Therefore, all homogeneous mixtures have got uniform composition. Let me give a simple example. Let me take sugar solution. Okay, little amount of sugar is dissolved in water. Say let me take sugar solution in this vessel. I have taken sugar solution in this vessel. Now you can check its composition or sweetness. So you can check the sweetness of this solution by taking solution from any part. You can take the solution from the surface or you can take it from the bottom. This solution would have same taste, same sweetness. Sweetness does not change. It remains same. Or you can do like this. You can calculate the concentration of this solution by taking little amount of solution from any part. You can take it from surface or you can take it from bottom. Concentration of this solution remains same, remains constant throughout the solution. So hence it is homogeneous. Other examples, these are examples for homogeneous mixture: sugar solution, sugar dissolved in water; salt solution, salt dissolved in water. Or you can take air. Air is a mixture of various gases: oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, noble gases, water vapor, so and so. Or you can take tap water. Tap water is a homogeneous mixture. Or you can take sea water. It's a homogeneous mixture. It contains various salts. Or you can take alloys like alloy. All alloys are homogeneous in nature. Here brass. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Or you can take bronze. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. In brass and in bronze, so components are elements actually, two elements. Elements are uniformly distributed throughout the bulk. Or even you can take petrol, it's a homogeneous mixture. Or very good example is 22 karat gold, ornamental gold. Ornamental gold contains some percentage of copper. A copper is uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of the gold. Actually, homogeneous mixture seems to be one compound, though it contains two or more components, but it seems like one compound, one substance. So it has got only one phase. Let me go through heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. In heterogeneous mixtures, components are not completely mixed up. Particles of the components are not uniformly, evenly distributed throughout the bulk of the mixture. Therefore, they don't have uniform composition throughout. Some part of the mixture may contain more amount of one component and less amount of another component. Let me clarify this one. Let me prepare a mixture by mixing 100 gram of sugar, very simple example, and 50 gram of tea powder. Okay, I have taken 100 gram of sugar and 50 gram of tea powder, both are mixed. Okay, I get a mixture of these two. And in this mixture, both the components are visible to our naked eye. Point is to be noted, in homogeneous mixture, components are not visible to our naked eye even under microscope. Here, components are visible to, in some cases, components are visible to our naked eye and they can be seen under microscope too. Okay, I have taken a mixture of 100 gram of sugar and sugar containing 100 gram of, mixture containing 100 gram of sugar and 50 gram of tea powder. See here, in this mixture, say this part of the mixture may contain more amount of tea powder and less amount of sugar. So this part of the mixture may contain more amount of sugar, less amount of tea powder. Therefore, amount of components may vary from may vary from one part of the mixture to another part. Therefore, components are not uniformly distributed. Therefore, homogeneous mixtures do not have uniform composition. Other examples, sugar and salt can be taken, a mixture of sugar and salt, a mixture of sand and water. Iodized salt is a beautiful example for heterogeneous mixture. Iodized salt contains some amount of iodine salts. Here iodine salts are not uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of the salt. Hence it is heterogeneous in nature. Okay. Now let me go through the properties of matter. Okay, so far we went through so many concepts. What is a matter? Arrangement of constituent particles in matter, states of matter, arrangement of particles in three different states of matter, then classification of matters. Matters are broadly classified into pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances are further classified into elements and compounds. Mixtures are further classified into homogeneous and heterogeneous. Now let me go through the properties of matter. Each and every matter has got certain unique or characteristic properties. Whatever may be the matter, each and every matter has got certain unique or characteristic properties. These properties of matter are broadly classified into two types: physical properties and chemical properties. Okay, let us try to understand what are physical properties and what are chemical properties of matter. Physical properties of matter are those properties which can be measured, which can be observed without changing the identity or composition of matter. While measuring the physical properties of matter, nothing will happen to our matter. Its identity or even composition will not change. For example, color, odor, melting point, boiling point, density. These are physical properties, certain physical properties of matter. While measuring these properties of a matter, nothing will happen to matter. Its identity or its composition will not change. See here, color of a matter can be predicted just by observing it. Odor can be predicted just by smelling it. Is there any damage happens to our matter? Nothing will happen. So, physical properties are those properties which can be measured without changing the identity or composition of matter. Examples are these: color, odor, melting point, boiling point, density, etc. Okay, let me go through chemical properties. What are chemical properties of a matter? Chemical properties are those properties of matter whose measurement of chemical properties require a chemical change to occur. That means matters should undergo some chemical change. They should take part in chemical reaction. As a result of this, their identity as well as composition will be changed. Therefore, it's very essential to know the difference between physical and chemical properties. While measuring physical properties of a matter, identity as well as composition of matter will not change. But while measuring the chemical properties of a matter, identity as well as composition of matter will be changed, because matters undergo some chemical change. It takes part in chemical reactions. Example, acidity of a matter, basicity of a matter, combustibility of a matter, its oxidation, reduction, displacement. So many chemical reactions are there. Okay, in the next video, I am going to give a detailed account of measurement of physical properties of matter. Thank you.